You came to the house.
I came to the house, but before that, I had put in heavy pitching for Olivia. I wanted this girl bad in Grease.
Sandy! Danny? What are you doing here? Great.
Because I had done the show on Broadway and on a national tour. So I said the perfect Sandy, the ultimate Sandy, would be Olivia Newton.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic movies of all time. I'm talking about Grease, the 1978 musical that made us all want to be part of the T-Birds or the Pink Ladies. You know the songs, you know the dances, and you definitely know that unforgettable ending scene. But here's the thing. Behind all that fun and music, there are some absolutely wild stories that happened behind the scenes. Some of these facts are going to blow your mind. Trust me, after watching this video, you'll never look at Grease the same way again. So grab your leather jacket, slick back your hair, and let's jump right in. Let's start with something that sounds completely crazy. Did you know that Olivia Newton-John almost said no to playing Sandy? Yeah, you heard that right. The woman who became the face of this movie, the actress who made Sandy such an unforgettable character, almost walked away from it all. When the producers first approached her, Olivia was already 29 years old. She was worried because Sandy was supposed to be a teenager in high school. Olivia looked at herself in the mirror and thought, "There's no way I can pull this off." She was scared that the audience would laugh at her for trying to act like someone so much younger. But here's where it gets interesting. Olivia was so worried that she actually asked the producers for a screen test. She wanted to see herself on camera to make sure she could look like a real teenager. When she finally watched the footage, something clicked. She realized she could do it. That screen test changed everything, but that wasn't the only reason she was hesitant. At the time, Olivia's music career was doing really well. She was worried that if she took a role in a movie that flopped, it could hurt her entire career. She had already been in one film before that didn't do well, so she was got the role. He said he felt like he knew that character like the back of his hand. He knew what was cool, what was funny, and how to make Danny Zuko unforgettable. And boy, did he deliver. Here's something that will make you laugh. Even though Grease is a movie about high school kids, almost none of the actors were actually teenagers. In fact, they were way older than you'd think. Travolta was 23 when he played Danny. Olivia was 29, remember? And one of the actors, Michael Tucci, who played Sonny, was already in his 30s. People criticized the movie for this, saying it was ridiculous to have a bunch of adults pretending to be teenagers. But the casting director had the perfect response. He said that Grease isn't a documentary. It's a fantasy, a fun story that's supposed to make you feel good. He pointed out that what really mattered was that all the actors looked about the same age as each other, which they did. And honestly, who cares? The movie was a huge hit, and people loved it. The critics might have complained, but audiences didn't care one bit. They were too busy having fun singing along to the songs and watching the amazing dance numbers. Remember how I mentioned Henry Winkler turning down the role of Danny? Well, he didn't just turn it down and move on. He actually regretted that decision for years. In an interview with a magazine, Winkler opened up about how much he beat himself up over saying no to Grease. He called himself dumb for making that choice. He said he spent so many sleepless nights thinking about it, worrying that he had made a terrible mistake. At the time, he was so focused on not getting typecast that he didn't see the bigger picture. He was afraid that playing another cool guy character would trap him in that role forever. But after he watched Grease become one of the biggest movies of all time, he realized he had hubcaps. Then it gets splashed with dirty water, making it look terrible again. But somehow the car survives. And in a fantasy sequence, we even see a super fancy version of the car that's painted candy red with a see-through hood. At the end of the movie, Danny actually wins this dream version of the car in a raffle at the school carnival. It's a pretty sweet ending for Greased Lightning. Now let's talk about something sad. One of the actors in Grease, Jeff Conaway, who played Kenickie, had a really tragic story. While they were filming one of the dance scenes, Jeff was dancing on top of the car during the Greased Lightning number. He was putting so much energy into his performance, jumping around and having fun. But then something went wrong. He fell off the car and hurt his back really badly. The injury was so painful that doctors gave him strong painkillers called opioids to help him deal with it. But those painkillers were addictive. Over time, Jeff became dependent on them, and that addiction followed him for the rest of his life. It got worse and worse, and he started using other drugs too. Sadly, in 2011, Jeff Conaway passed away. Doctors said that his drug use contributed to his death, and they also said that his addiction made it hard for him to realize he was sick with pneumonia. It's a really sad story, and it reminds us that even though movies can be magical, the people who make them are real human beings going through real struggles. Here's a story that's going to make you smile. Remember that iconic outfit that Olivia wears at the end of the movie? The black leather jacket, the off-the-shoulder top, and those super tight black pants. That outfit became one of the most famous costumes in movie history. But there's a crazy story behind those pants. The costume designer wanted everything in the movie to look authentic to the 1950s.
Summer Nights, where Danny and Sandy tell their friends about their summer romance, was filmed at a real high school. They used Venice High School in California, and they even had real high school students in the background as extras. The students were so excited to be part of the movie. When the cameras started rolling, everything felt natural and authentic. The kids were running around, carrying skateboards and musical instruments, just like they would on any normal school day. One of the teachers at the school even helped out. He and his students put up a fake sign that said Rydell High School over the real school's name. It was all about making the movie feel as real as possible. And it worked. When you watch that scene, it really does feel like you're watching a real high school come to life. Okay, here's a juicy piece of gossip from the set. Jeff Conaway, the same actor I mentioned earlier, had a huge crush on Olivia Newton-John. But here's the twist. He was too nervous to ask her out. So he just admired her from afar, watching her between takes and thinking about how beautiful she was. But then something unexpected happened. During production, Jeff went to a party and met Olivia's sister, Rona. The moment he saw her, he was smitten. He said it was like love at first sight. He walked right up to her and started talking, and they hit it off immediately. After just a few dates, Jeff knew she was the one. He proposed, and they got married. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't last forever. After 5 years, they got divorced. But Jeff always stayed close to Olivia and her family. When Jeff passed away in 2011, Olivia shared some beautiful words about him. She said he had a good heart and was incredibly talented. She said he was a big part of their family for many years, and they would all miss him deeply. Let's talk about one of the actors who brought some extra magic to the movie through improvisation. Sid Caesar played Coach Calhoun, and he had a reputation for making up his own lines. Back in the 1950s, Sid was famous for his live television sketch shows where he would improvise jokes and scenes on the spot. He was a master at it. When he joined the cast of Grease, people believe he probably improvised a lot of Coach Calhoun's funniest lines. There's no way to know for sure exactly which lines he made up, but knowing his history, it's pretty likely that he added his own special touch to the character. That's the beauty of having talented actors on set. They bring their own creativity and make the movie even better. Now let's talk about Olivia's transformation in the movie. For most of the film, she plays sweet, innocent Sandy. That was easy for Olivia because it came naturally to her. But then comes the end of the movie, where Sandy transforms into Bad Sandy. She shows up in that leather outfit with big hair, red lips, and a totally different attitude. Olivia admitted that playing Bad Sandy was actually really hard for her at first. She had gotten so used to being the good girl that switching to the bad girl was a challenge. But once she put on the costume and got her hair and makeup done, something changed. She walked onto the set while Travolta was filming a scene, and everyone just stopped and stared. The cast didn't even recognize her at first. Then the guys started giving her all this attention, and Olivia had this funny moment where she thought, "Oh my goodness, is this what it takes to get noticed?" It was a hilarious realization for her. She said playing Bad Sandy ended up being one of the most fun parts of the whole movie. Here's something about the music that you might not know. That super famous song, You're the One That I Want, the one that Travolta and Olivia sing together at the end, wasn't in the original stage show. It was written specifically for the movie. A songwriter named John Farrar wrote it, and it became one of the biggest hits of all time. More than 4 million copies were sold in the United States and the United Kingdom alone, and estimates say it sold over 15 million copies worldwide. Can you believe that? The song became so huge that it's now considered one of the best-selling singles in history. But here's the funny part. The director of the movie wasn't even a fan of the song at first. He thought it didn't fit with the rest of the music, because it didn't sound like something from the 1950s. But the producers knew it was a hit, and they were right. That song became one of the most iconic moments in the entire movie. Let's talk about that famous race scene at Thunder Road. In the movie, the guys race their cars in this intense competition, and it looks really dramatic. But here's the thing. They filmed that scene at the Los Angeles River Basin, which sounds cool until you realize what that actually means. The water on the ground was stagnant and gross. There was trash and dirt everywhere. It was not a pleasant place to work. Some of the cast members actually got sick during filming because of how dirty it was. But they pushed through and got the scene done. That's the kind of dedication it takes to make a great movie. Sometimes you have to work in tough conditions to create something special. Here's a fun little detail about Lorenzo Lamas, who played one of the jocks in the movie. The producers told him he had to bleach his hair blonde for the role. Why? Because Lorenzo was really tall and muscular, and they didn't want him to look like he could be on E of the T-Birds. So they sent him to a fancy salon to dye his hair. And you know what Lorenzo said? He said he would have dyed his hair purple if that's what it took to be in the movie. He was just so excited to be part of Grease. It's a funny example of the weird things actors sometimes have to do for their roles. Did you know that John Travolta's sister was also in the movie? Her name is Ellen Travolta, and she had a small cameo that most people don't even notice. She played one of the waitresses at the Frosty Palace Diner, and she has one line where she points at the TV and says, "Oh, there's Danny and Sandy." Ellen said she ended up in the movie totally by chance. She was at the studio filming something else and decided to stop by the Grease set to visit her brother. While she was there, someone asked if she wanted to be in a scene, and she said yes. It's a cute little family moment that makes the movie even more special. Here's another fun fact about the music. That beautiful ballad, Hopelessly Devoted to You, where Olivia sings her heart out, wasn't filmed during the regular production schedule. It was actually filmed after they had already finished shooting the rest of the movie. Why? Because the song wasn't written until halfway through production. Olivia's contract said she was supposed to have a solo song, but nobody had written it yet. So John Farrar, the same guy who wrote You're the One That I Want, wrote Hopelessly Devoted to You and submitted it to the producers. They loved it, but by the time they approved it, filming had already wrapped. So they had to bring everyone back to film that scene separately. John Farrar said he spent more time writing the lyrics to that song than any other song he'd ever written. He used every thesaurus and rhyming dictionary he could find to make it perfect. And it definitely paid off, because that song became one of the most beloved moments in the entire movie. Let's talk about the carnival scene at the end of the movie. That finale looks like so much fun on screen, but behind the scenes, it was actually pretty intense. The actors were dealing with really hot weather, and they were filming for hours and hours. One of the actors, Jamie Donnelly, who played Jan, shared a funny story about going on the carnival rides between takes. She convinced some of the other actors to go on this ride called the Octopus with her. But as soon as the ride started spinning, Michael Tucci, who played Sonny, started screaming that he wanted to get off. He was yelling that he was going to throw up. Jamie thought he was joking, so she told the operator to keep the ride going. But Michael was serious. He really didn't like being spun around like that. It's a hilarious behind-the-scenes moment that shows just how much chaos was happening during that carnival finale. And finally, here's the last weird fact that's going to blow your mind. You know those pink clouds you see flying through the sky during the final scene where Danny and Sandy drive off together? Those weren't created with special effects or camera tricks. They were real clouds that the production team dyed pink and made out of cotton. They literally took cotton, dyed it pink, and put it up in the sky to make the scene look more magical and dreamy. That's the level of detail and effort that went into making Grease so special. Even 40 years after it was released, people still talk about how beautiful and fun that final scene is. It's because the filmmakers cared about every single little detail. So there you have it, folks. 20 weird and wild facts about Grease that you probably never knew before. This movie is so much more than just catchy songs and cool dance moves. It's a film that required incredible dedication, creativity, and sometimes even some real sacrifices from the cast and crew. From Olivia almost turning down the role to actors getting sewn into costumes and falling off cars, every moment of this movie has a story behind it. That's what makes Grease so timeless and special. It's not just entertainment. It's a piece of cinema history that will be remembered forever. If you enjoyed learning these crazy facts, make sure you hit that like button right now. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Share this with your friends who love Grease or anyone who enjoys classic movies. Trust me, they're going to love hearing these stories. Drop a comment below and let me know which fact surprised you the most. Were you shocked that Olivia was almost 30? Did you know about Jeff Conaway's tragic story? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay awesome.